The night it happened, the rain was falling in angry sheets, loud enough to make the world outside feel like it was cracking open. I was standing on my front porch, staring out into the storm when I saw her, soaked from head to toe, hair clinging to her cheeks, eyes shining like someone who had been running from something for far too long. And before I could even speak, she whispered the words that hit me harder than any thunderclap. "Is there space left in your bed?" It felt like the air froze around us, like time was holding its breath. I didn't know if she was asking for shelter, comfort, or permission to collapse into the version of herself she had been too afraid to show anyone else. All I knew was that her presence felt like both a storm and a lifeline at the same time. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of simply showing up for someone, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps more people find these stories. She stepped under the porch roof, shivering, dripping rainwater onto the old wooden floorboards that creaked like they recognized her weight. Her clothes clung to her skin, her shoulders trembling as though she'd carried an entire world on her back. I'd known her for years. Emma. The girl whose laughter always seemed brighter than her future allowed. The girl whose strength came from surviving things nobody ever saw. She wasn't supposed to be there that night. She wasn't even supposed to be in my life anymore after disappearing without explanation months ago. Yet there she stood, fragile but fighting, staring at me with eyes that said she had nowhere else to go. The weeks before her return had been some of the loneliest I'd ever survived. Work had slowed, bills were stacking up, and the house felt emptier than ever since my mother's passing the year before. Grief hung in the corners like dust I couldn't sweep away, and most nights I went to sleep wishing the silence would just break itself. But seeing Emma standing there in the rain made something in my chest stir again. Something I'd almost forgotten, hope, or maybe love, maybe both. She walked inside without needing to be told she was welcome. The house smelled like old memories and unopened windows, and she looked around as if trying to decide where she fit in. She didn't say much, just sat on the edge of the couch, wringing the water from her shirt, her breath unsteady. Her vulnerability was louder than any words could have been. It felt like she wanted to ask for more than a place to sleep, but didn't know how. As I brought her a towel and something warm to wear, I finally asked what happened. She didn't answer right away. Instead, her eyes wandered to the framed photos on the wall. Me, my mom, the life I used to have. When she finally looked back at me, tears had gathered in her eyes. She said she had been trying to escape a life she had never chosen, a relationship that had drained her, a future that didn't look like hers anymore. Her voice cracked as she admitted she had almost given up that night, wandering in the storm without a destination, until instinct, or fate, led her to my door. There are moments in life when you know you're being asked to become someone's safe place, and you either step into that responsibility or you don't. I didn't hesitate, not for Emma. She took a long shower and came back wearing one of my oversized shirts, her hair still damp, her eyes a little calmer but still shadowed with something fragile. When she sat beside me, the silence between us felt like a confession. She leaned her head on my shoulder, not asking permission, just hoping I'd understand, and I did. Days began to pass quietly after that. She stayed longer than she intended, but neither of us mentioned it. We cooked together, took late-night walks under street lamps, and spoke about things we had kept buried for years. She told me about her dreams, ones she had abandoned but still secretly held on to. I told her about my failures, my loneliness, and the way her disappearance had left an empty space in me I didn't know how to fill. One evening, after weeks of slowly healing together, she stood in the doorway of my room. The storm outside was gentle that night, more like a whisper than a threat. She looked calmer, but her voice held the weight of a question she had been carrying since the first night. "Is there space left in your bed?" she asked again. But this time it wasn't about needing warmth or safety. It was about wanting a place, a person, to belong to. I looked at her, really looked, at the girl who had survived so much and still found a way to look hopeful. My chest tightened with everything I had never said out loud, so I finally spoke the truth. "What if," I told her softly, "you said you wanted to stay forever?" For a moment she didn't breathe, then she smiled, a mix of relief and disbelief. like someone who had finally found solid ground after being lost in the dark for years. She walked toward me, each step filled with emotion, and when she wrapped her arms around me, it felt like the universe had stopped spinning just to let us exist in that one perfect moment. She wasn't the storm anymore. She was the calm after it. From that day on, life didn't magically solve everything. We still had fears to face, scars to heal, futures to rebuild, but we faced them together, side by side, choosing each other even on the days when the world felt heavy. The bed she once asked about became more than a place to sleep. It became the space where two broken people learned how to grow again, how to trust again, how to love without running away. And sometimes, late at night, when the rain tapped softly against the windows, she would look at me with that same fragile bravery and whisper, "Thank you for making space for me." And I would always answer the same way, "There will always be room for you, always." If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world. Before you go, comment below. There is always space for love.